So welcome YouTube. This is my first video that I've ever edited, tried to record, voices on. I've never done any of this editing, so bear with me. As you can see, I ordered a bunch of stuff off of Amazon, and I had built myself a grow setup. I was trying to grow that Zaza. I was trying to grow that 93 octane from my very own apartment. It did result in a very, very bad, ending, so to speak. I did end up violating my probation and returning to prison because of this. So just know that in Florida, you cannot grow your own medical marijuana. Anyways, you can see I went ahead and I ordered the whole 9 yards. I ordered a grow tent. I ordered the carbon filter. I ordered the special grow lights. I ordered, a dehumidifier, fans, pH level checkers, or whatever. I had double carbon filter for the smell. I had 2 tents. I did spend well over $1,000 on the setup, but it was top notch and it did its purpose. I did grow a bunch of good weed while it lasted. You can see here how I had the setup. I had the whole setup done, and I eventually had double carbon filter so that it would not smell my apartment or my room. You know, I researched all this stuff probably for like 2 years before I actually jumped into it. Here I'm just showing a bunch of clips that I found in my old phone, and it's basically giving the rundown of me when I first started my setup. Eventually here, you'll see once I started the actual grow. But first I was building my setup, and I was showing you the progress along the way, so to speak. Here I actually show I was making a bunch of edibles, from the plants, top notch. I was making gummy bears, fruity pebble cereal bars, brownies, just basically anything you could imagine. I also had the THC coconut oil, so I would, make the like a THC coconut oil, and I would just dump it in everything I cooked. Pretty much, I was baked all day. I was basically a couch potato. Here, I finally planted the first seeds that I had ordered off 420 Fast Buds. I also go on 207 Genetics, but I do like feminized autoflower seeds, and that's what I use. I also use Happy Frog soil, as you can see. Here, my plants had finally sprouted, and this was my first run, by the way. I was so happy. I was documenting my plants finally came out, so I was happy. And excuse me for the curse word. I'm gonna try to not curse. So we finally had a sprout on my plants. I'm showing you that the air filters through that first carbon filter goes through the fan, and here I had a second carbon filter and a silencer so that you wouldn't hear the motor on my my fan. Sorry. So let's keep checking the progress here. As you can see, it probably took about 2 or 3 days to sprout. I'm just checking everything, the humidity. I had a temperature gauge, and just like that, within 2 or 3 days, it sprouted like this. I was shocked. Mind you, these autoflower seeds is probably like a 3-month span from sprout to, to harvest, and that one was behind. Poor little plant. They all eventually did, harvest and grow. Some were bigger than the others. You know how genetics go. I got a bunch of different genetics, and I had 2 tents. As you can see, I'm showing you the different stages between the tents and the plants. You could sprout them the same day, and I'm telling you that they will never stay the same size. Genetics, even if you feed them the same conditions, everything. You see how that one wasn't even sprouted, and look how big the other ones are. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm telling you, as a first time grower, this just felt amazing to see the progress. I was like, am I gonna be able to do it? Am I gonna fail? Is it gonna work? And thank God it worked, and you see how big they were getting. Like I said, the whole sprout to harvest is about 3 months. So within a month or two, you'll see a bunch of grow in the vegetative stage, until eventually, out of nowhere, eventually you will start seeing the little hairs that eventually turn into the buds. And you just want to make sure you do a lot of research. If you ever want to get into growing, make sure you research. You have no idea how many different videos of burner and cookies, and I used to just look up as much videos as I can about the real companies that grow, and I learned about genetics. I learned about looking at trichomes at harvest time to know when the plant is ready. um, at first they're clear, then they start getting milky. Then when they start turning burgundy, that's when it starts turning into like a CBD, and that's not really what you want. So what you want is like a perfect mix between milky and burgundy is what I learned. So when they're milky and then you start seeing a hint of burgundy, that's the perfect time to harvest. It's at the perfect THC to CBD ratio, and it's gonna give you the perfect, head and body high. As you can see here, they are budding. Those are the hairs that I was referring to earlier. You see those little hairs, they start forming and locking into buds. Like I said, these are feminized autoflowers, so there's no males. I don't have to worry about getting a male, seeds, and all that. You can see that plant is way bigger than the other ones. That was my best grow, the LSD 45. I did have a bunch of different strains though. As you can see, right here is my LSD 45. This was my best strain, the biggest plant. It has purple, orange, white, green. It was amazing. It was exotic. It was that 93 octane, just to let you know. And the final stage here, I got the dry closet. I did end up cutting it up. This was the LSD 45, just to give you an idea of what the drying process was. I just cut up the branches so that it could dry properly. But I want to thank you for checking out my first YouTube video. I will get better over time though. And here's just some pictures at the end of that LSD 45. And like I said, I ended up going to prison for this. So before you decide to make a grow house, check the laws in your state. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe and wait for more content. Thank you.